let's go to the next. Why does the author mention the Battle of Trafalgar in paragraph 2? Why? To provide the date when the French forces suffered an important setback. What is a setback? Setback is an event which delays a process or reverses the progress that you have made. Why did the author mention the Battle of Trafalgar? Because he wanted to say that the Royal Navy dominated the oceans after the winning Napoleon's French forces in the Battle of Trafalgar. The reason of the Royal Navy becoming to dominate the oceans, that's why. So it's not to provide the date when the French forces suffered an important setback, all right? To note the time when the English Navy truly came to dominate the ocean. So this would be the answer. To explain why the English fleet needed to provide protection to merchant ships. It's not to do this, right? To state why English ships could move raw materials across the ocean with ease. This might be a fact, right? But this is not the direct reason why the author mentioned the Battle of Trafalgar. The reason was mentioned in the passage, which was B. Why the Royal Navy became to dominate the oceans. Which of the sentences below best expresses the essential information in the highlighted sentence in the passage? What is the highlighted sentence? After the English colonizing India in the 18th century, India's textile industry weakened and it became a provider of raw materials rather than finished products. Okay? So the three things, what? After the English colonizing India, India's textile industry weakened and it became a provider of raw materials than finished parts, finished products. So these three information should be inside the sentence. While India once provided only raw materials, under English colonization, it changed into a producer of finished products. This is the other way around, right? This is the opposite. B. India stopped producing both finished products and raw materials when the English began their takeover in the 18th century. This is wrong, right? Having colonized India in the 18th century, the English forced them to provide raw materials for textile factories in England. This is close, but it doesn't directly say that the English forced India to provide raw materials. Okay, so let's see the other option. India transformed from a producer of textiles to a provider of raw materials after the English began their colonization of India in the 1700s, which is the 18th century. This is right? Except for the order switching. This is the same, all right? After the English colonizing India, okay? India became a producer of provider of raw materials rather than a producer of textiles. So D is correct. D has all the necessary information. Look at the four squares that indicate where the following sentence could be added to the passage. Many of their secrets had already escaped. Being stolen through industrial espionage. So this was not a particularly self-destructive, self-destroying act by the English. Many of their secrets had already escaped, stolen through industrial espionage. What is espionage? It's the action of finding out political, military, or industrial secrets of the enemies or rivals. Okay, using spies. This is espionage. All right. So where would this fit? If you see here, it says, so this was not a particularly self-destructive act. So this, something which is the meaning of this should be in front, directly in front of this sentence. So where would it fit? So in 1843, the government permitted textile machinery to be exported. So this would be the meaning of this here, right? Okay, permitting. This is what the meaning of this is what from the context. This is the English permitting their textile machinery to be exported. All right, so this sentence should come right after that sentence. So it's the second. All right, and the result of all that was what? The development of competing textile industries in Japan, Brazil, and India. So it's the second square. Select the appropriate sentences from the answer choices and match them to the reason for the success of the cotton textile industry to which they relate. So the below should be what? The reason for the success of the cotton textile industry, and match them to if it's government intervention, which means being involved, or independent actions. Number 1. Textile making equipment was permitted to be sold to people of other nationalities. This is government intervention, right? Government permitted this. But this was what? The reason for success? No, the reason for declining, if you see here. Government permitted textile machinery to be exported, and this, okay? Because of this, the English textile industry ultimately declined. So 1 is not the reason for success, so we're not going to use 1. 2, African slaves were used on American plantations to raise huge amounts of cotton. This is not government intervention, right? This happened in America, and it has nothing to do with the British government, so we're not going to use 2. And this is not by this passage, this is not the reason for the success of the cotton textile industry in England. Do you understand? Let's look. This is the result of the growing industry, not the reason, right? Many American farmers in southern states started growing cotton on immense plantations utilizing slave labor. So this is the result, not the reason. So we're not going to use 2. 3, if you look here, it says 2 of the answer choices will not be used. 3, laws were passed that permitted cotton to become more popular in usage than wool. This was who? The government, right? So the power loom enabled people to create textiles at much faster pace than before. This is right? But this was not by the government. This was independent action. The English Navy was instructed to protect English merchants shipping from predators. This is right? But is this government intervention? Right. It is, because it was the Royal Navy, okay? Means it was done by the government. India was transformed by the English from a textile maker into a provider of raw materials. This is this was a what? This is not the reason for the success. This was what? The result of the success. So we're not going to use 6. Monetary means of money. Investments were made that enable people to work on and improve, what? And improve, alright? I'm sorry. And improve machinery. But this was not done by the government, right? The individuals did it. So, the 7 here. If you look at the answer sheet, 6, number 6 goes here, right? India was transformed by the English from a textile maker into a provider of raw materials. Once English began colonizing India in the 18th century, India's textile industry further weakened, and it simply became a provider of raw materials rather than finished products. So this was done by the government, because it says the English colonized India, all right? But this is what? When the author says another result of the growing industry was that, okay, it means the thing that he said before is one result, and this is another one, what is about to say. So this is what? The result, not the reason of the success of the cotton industry. So strictly speaking, the answer sheet is wrong. So the answer sheet says 6 goes here, but that's not right. Do you understand? Alright, let me see you next time.